You know what's wild to me? It's how much of our lives we spend just desperately trying to become smart. I mean, we grind through years of school, we buy these incredibly expensive courses, and we test out every random productivity hack under the sun. We are literally obsessed with intelligence. But today, we're going to completely demystify this whole concept. Because here's the secret. You don't need a genius brain, and you definitely don't need to lock yourself in a dark room for 18-hour study sessions. Instead, we're going to break down the practical, everyday blueprint for genuine intelligence.
Look, before we get to the actual fix, we have to talk about the hilarious irony of where we are right now. Despite living in this endless ocean of self-improvement content, people are still desperately opening Google and typing in the exact phrase, "how to stay focused for 5 minutes." I mean, think about how crazy that is. We've built airplanes, smartphones, and machines that can literally hold full-blown conversations with us. That proves the human brain is incredibly powerful. Yet, we struggle to hold our attention on a single task for the length of a pop song. It's not that we lack the brain power, it's just that most of us were never taught how to train our brains correctly. Okay, let's dive into this. Because if you search online for ways to get smarter, the internet is going to serve you up a massive plate of absolutely terrible advice. The gurus will tell you with a straight face that if you want to be a genius, you need to wake up at 5 a.m., take a freezing cold shower, chug black coffee, stuff your face with blueberries, and listen to classical music on repeat. It's ridiculous. That is lifestyle advice, not a cognitive upgrade. Do you honestly think drinking black coffee is going to magically teach you how to run a business? Or that blasting Mozart is going to instantly turn you into Albert Einstein? No way!
Which brings us to a very direct, unavoidable reality check. At some point, you actually have to learn something. You can optimize your physical habits all day long. You can be the most hydrated, well-rested, blueberry-eating person on the planet. But if you aren't putting new information into your head, you simply aren't getting smarter. True intelligence requires the actual, deliberate acquisition of information. You have to feed your brain with raw materials if you expect it to build anything worthwhile.
So let's clearly define what we're actually aiming for today. This is the core thesis of our explainer. Genuine intelligence is simply the act of learning information and using it in real life. That's it. That's the whole shebang. Notice what is not in that definition. It doesn't say you need 160 IQ. It doesn't say you need to be born a prodigy. It just requires the habit of taking in information and actually applying it practically. If you can do that, you're already acting smarter than the vast majority of the population.
The absolute easiest, most effective way to start this process is through reading. Now, hold on. I am not talking about forcing yourself to read a 500-page textbook from the 1800s on the philosophy of human suffering. Read what you actually care about. If you want to understand money, read a book about money. Want to be confident? Read about confidence. Reading is basically the ultimate life hack because you can literally download 20 years of someone else's trial, error, and hard-won experience directly into your own brain in just a few hours. You get all the lessons without any of the suffering. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it illustrates your brain's automatic filtering system. Let's say you watch a great video on how to make handmade pasta. If you just say, "Wow, that's cool," but never actually cook the pasta, your brain tags that as useless information. It gets deleted because your brain absolutely hates holding on to garbage. But if you watch that video and then immediately go into your kitchen to try making the dish, your brain suddenly goes, "Oh, wait, we're using this. This matters." And boom, the information is stored as important. You've proven to your brain that it's actually worth keeping.
This means that practice is the only thing that makes knowledge stick. You cannot become good at something just by passively consuming content about it. Think about it like this. You could watch 3 straight years of Olympic swimming tutorials, but if you never actually jump into a pool, you are still going to drown the minute you touch deep water. If you want to get smarter at editing videos, you have to edit videos. If you want to get better at speaking, you literally have to open your mouth and speak. Practice is the glue that binds information to your memory.
But here's a totally fascinating loophole in human psychology: the visualization hack. Your brain actually learns from vivid imagination, treating it almost exactly like a real-world experience. Let's say you learn how to jumpstart a dead car battery, but you don't have 2 cars to practice on right now. If you close your eyes and clearly imagine the steps, opening the hood, connecting the red and black cables, turning the key to start the engine, your brain fires the exact same neural pathways as if you were physically doing it. Professional athletes use this trick constantly, visualizing their victories before they ever step onto the field.
And this brilliantly illustrates why our traditional education system is so broken. Schools accidentally trigger our brain's importance filter through pure panic. The night before a test, you cram 17 chapters into your head. The intense pressure tells your brain, "Danger, this is absolutely crucial." So you remember it for the exam.
But the very next day, the thread is gone. The brain realizes you don't actually need to know the capital of ancient Mesopotamia to survive your weekend, so it dumps all of it. That's why people can pass complex calculus exams in school, but totally freeze up trying to calculate a 15% discount at a shoe store. The information was memorized, sure, but it was never truly used.
Which brings us to one of the biggest traps in modern learning, the endless consumption loop. We are constantly surrounded by self-improvement content. But listen, the person who watches 500 productivity videos but changes absolutely nothing in their daily routine, they will lose out every single time to the person who learns just one simple habit and applies it consistently. Watching someone else improve their life does not improve yours. Applying just one idea from this explainer will literally do more for your intelligence than binge watching 100 hours of content.
Let's shift gears a bit and talk about social intelligence, because being smart isn't just about what you know, it's about how you interact with the world around you. We all know that one person who learns a new trivia fact and suddenly makes it their life's mission to correct everybody. They just love to interrupt conversations with the phrase, "Actually, you're wrong." Let me be totally clear here. Nobody likes that person. You can be highly intelligent without making the people around you feel stupid. Unnecessarily correcting people just makes you incredibly unlikable.
Instead, look at how a slight change in wording completely transforms the dynamic. If you want to share information, try saying something like, "Yeah, I used to think that too, but I learned something really interesting recently." See the difference? That instantly turns an awkward, combative correction into a friendly, collaborative conversation. Smart people just know raw information. Wise people know how to share that information. There is a massive difference between the two, and mastering that conversational shift is a huge part of genuine intelligence. And while we're on the subject of sounding smart, let's just debunk a massive myth right now. Big words do not equal a high IQ. Honestly, a lot of insecure people use massive, complicated vocabulary just to project the illusion of intelligence. But truly brilliant people, they do the exact opposite. Real intelligence is being able to take a highly complex idea and explain it so simply that anyone can understand it. If you actually understand a concept inside and out, you don't need to hide behind a dictionary to explain it to someone else.
So, why do so many of us feel less smart these days? Well, it's largely because our modern environment is actively fighting against our ability to think deeply. Look at these destroyers of deep thought. Short-form videos, relentless push notifications, and this ingrained habit of scrolling to a new piece of content every 8 seconds. Imagine going to the gym to build muscle, but you change the exercise you're doing every 5 seconds. You'd build absolutely nothing. And that is exactly what we're doing to our brains. We are starving our minds of the uninterrupted, focused time required to actually process and learn complex information.
The antidote to this fractured attention span is surprisingly simple. 30. All it takes is 30 minutes a day of distraction-free time. Just half an hour where you put the phone in another room, turn off all the notifications, and just read, think, write, or practice a skill. Doing this daily gives your brain the breathing room it desperately needs. Over time, this small 30-minute daily habit is enough to completely rewire your brain and drastically accelerate your ability to learn.
So the crucial point is this: stop worrying about whether you are naturally gifted or not. People vastly underestimate the sheer power of showing up every single day. Someone with totally average intelligence who consistently practices a skill will completely destroy someone who is born with natural talent but refuses to put in the work. Talent is a nice head start, for sure, but consistency is the vehicle that actually crosses the finish line. The smartest people you know aren't magical wizards, they just spent way more time learning, failing, and improving than you did.
And let's talk about that feeling part, because it is absolutely vital. A lot of people quit learning a new skill simply because they feel completely incompetent in the beginning, but being bad at something is literally the first step to becoming good at it. Your first drawing is going to look like a total mess. Your first video edit is going to be choppy. Your first attempt at speaking a new language is going to feel incredibly awkward. And you know what? That is totally normal. Your brain only improves through repetition, not by hiding from embarrassment. You have to give yourself permission to be bad at first.
We also really need to recognize the incredible advantage we have today. You are carrying a device in your pocket right now that would look like literal magic to someone living just 100 years ago. You can learn video editing, software coding, business strategy, fitness routines, public speaking, marketing, animation. Almost anything you can imagine is available to you, mostly for free right there on your phone. The tragedy is that instead of using this magic to level up our lives, most of us use it to endlessly scroll through memes. We have to flip that script.
Now, I want to take the pressure off for a second. You do not need to become the smartest person in the room by tomorrow. You don't need to conquer the world in a week.
You just need to become a little smarter every month. That's the real goal here. Marginal, consistent growth. Stay curious, learn useful things, actually apply them in your life, and practice them consistently. If you just commit to getting 1% better, that alone will put you miles ahead of the vast majority of the population over the course of a single year.
I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought. Most people consume information for entertainment. Very few use it to improve their life. Which one are you? You have to decide right now. Are you going to close this explainer, say, wow, that was interesting, and let your brain completely delete it by tomorrow morning? Or are you actually going to take just one concept we talked about today, whether it's the 30-minute rule or practicing a skill you care about, and actually apply it? The exact moment you transition from just collecting knowledge to actively applying it, that is the exact moment you truly become smart. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.